This pandemic has made people adapt to challenging new conditions, and in such a short span of time, they have built ways to thrive in new normal, thus making us more optimistic about the future than ever before. The challenges we face today will become stories of victory in the near future. This will blossom into opportunities and bring in more growth, hence becoming a part of humans' own legacy. In our growth series today, we have with us Mr. Peter Betzel, who is the CEO at IKEA India. Mr. Peter, with 3.5 decades of experience, has been instrumental in his contribution. Welcome to Global Growth Series, Peter.
Thank you, Pankaj, for inviting me. Thanks a lot for that opportunity.
We start with our first curiosity, Peter. We are aware of the happenings in the world and businesses in the last 3 quarters, where we have also witnessed a slump in economies. But what are the opportunities, if any, this crisis has created for your industry?
Very good question, Pankaj. I think it's many opportunities what we see, but also facing many challenges. Let me start with a fantastic one, which is inspiring me so much to be so long with that with the company of IKEA. I think we're starting when we talk about our vision about creating a better everyday life for the many people. So we're coming from a purpose and a vision, people-driven and better everyday life purpose for that part. And that keeps in principle whatever happens ourselves, because we're dealing with the many people and we would like to have an optimistic point of view, and we have an optimistic point of view, whatever challenge is coming, because we're grounded in good values. Let's call it like that. The businesses and the world and the societies, the many people have been challenged, unpresentable the last decades, what we had, the last quarters, what we had there. And I think it's still not over, it's still there. I think the first what we need to accept is, first of all, it will never come. So the waiting of what has been before, will that come back? It will never come back. So you need to turn that around, the way you deal with the challenge of what you have there. You need to turn that around into, let's take, it will be different, but find the opportunities. And I think our founder always said, every crisis is full of opportunities. So if we have a look what has been facing the challenges and the opportunities of the people, I think what has turned around is, number one is health and well-being and safety has become very, very important, and maybe most important. So from a company perspective, we took, in the moment it happened, we took the safety of our people and customer on top of our priorities. So we have been even closing our business down earlier than it was required by the government. Then we have been, during the period of time where we have been sitting in the lockdown, like everybody did, supporting your people sitting at home, so keeping the people. They at home, they need mindfulness, they need caring. We have been engaging with each other, we did skill building. That was very important. And at the same time, we also have been supporting vulnerable societies. We have been engaging in the cities where we're operating in Hyderabad and Mumbai. We have been supporting with more than 4 million meals, for example. So engaging and take responsibility for your society when it comes to health and well-being. And when you reopen your business, like we did in Hyderabad and in our warehouses and the online part, safety has to be remain highest priority. So the meeting with the customer and the meeting with ourselves when we work together is a different one today. It has to ensure a safe way of shopping and a safe working. Both you do it physically or you do it in an online way. So this is one part which has been, I think, number one. Number two, life at home. And we also see that where we are, life at home played a totally central role really in the when we're sitting in the lockdown. So the dining room has been the office, it has been the kindergarten, it has been the playground, the kitchen has been the restaurant, the balcony has been to the window in the world, and the living room, maybe the cinema, the bedroom in that case. So life at home, in the beauty, in the IKEA society, in the India society is also, we're living with the entire family, with a bigger family on much smaller space. So there have been challenges in the way you live together, and there have been challenges the way you need to work, the way you need to do schooling. And then people were really reflecting, and we all have been reflecting, how can I improve that? The interest for life at home and the needs and the dreams for a better life at home has been really increasing in the business where we are operating as IKEA, offering affordable functional home furnishing solutions. have been ones where we're still benefiting. That has been a fantastic opportunity, but there are more in the industry sector which can maybe contribute to that one. So we strongly believe people have a big demand and have the democratic right to have a more functional, flexible, and beautiful home and affordable home. The third one is people have big dreams and thin wallets. That remains in any society, especially also in India. So affordability and value for money, rethinking where I would like to spend my money. Is that enough value what I get for that? Is that affordable enough in all the dimensions? This has become more important. So people may be holding back bigger investments or small investments, but if you would like to spend your money beyond essentials, then it has to be a wise and smart, affordable and a high quality decision when it comes to affordability. So this is a big opportunity for many companies. In our vision, it always says for the many people. That means that we would like to have affordable range and solutions for the many people from IKEA perspective. Number 4, online plays a much bigger role. So we see that what we have, that not only that we order online and we get it delivered, but there's a lot of opportunity that you suddenly can create services which you never had before. What we have been stepping into is, for example, a service like Click and Collect in our stores in Hyderabad and in Mumbai. So it's a contactless Click and Collect. You can order online. What is very interesting, you can plan a kitchen today. You can plan a Pax wardrobe. You can have a personal shopper online. These are online services live, which you would not have get before. So this kind of remote services have becoming more important. These new services are very exciting for many people and also for our business and for that part. And that goes then together with an omni-channel approach as an opportunity. So the physical meeting places with our wonderful stores and give them a new value how to visit a store. On the other hand, the digital capabilities and the hand-holding of our customers and consumers in a digital approach, because we need that all. We still need to handhold, because maybe the shopping experience today, inspiration starts online and it ends online. So there's a handholding needed also on that way. A fifth part, that is number 5, is what is also have been accelerated to COVID, which have been remaining challenges for the society and the globe. First of all, I think unsustainable consumption remains very important challenge. And climate change and global warming remains a challenge and maybe accelerated through the COVID and growing inequality. So a company needs to take responsibility in their business model and in their purpose to face that, to have a positive contribution to that one. So this is something where we're also stepping in. They said it's about healthy and sustainable life at home. It's about creating a circular business. It's a huge opportunity and a big need. It's about your answer on global warming. We want to be CO2 neutral in 2030 and have a total circular business in 2030. EV transportation, today we are fully renewable energy. And also with the raw materials, it has to be recycled, reusable. And then also the last one is the inequality. Happy and proud to say that is something what we also need to answer, that diversity, gender equality, and inclusion is topic number 1 for each and every country for that purpose. So these are the 5 dimensions where I feel very optimistic, where we have opportunities in the total business, but specific also when it comes to IKEA in that business, where we have the right answers and the right strategy.
So Peter, you talked about various things and you touched a variety of things when you talked about opportunity, and you placed a lot of things. One of the good part was you talked about the kitchen being a restaurant, and then went on to pick up various things, and you ended up with diversity and inclusion. That how not only the segment but IKEA is prioritizing things that it could be somewhere so that it could take diversity and inclusion at very core to what IKEA talks all about, and this is something even the world needs to learn from IKEA. I hope, and this is going to be a long term thing. But apart from opportunities, when we talk about that, there is a lot of opportunity in this particular segment. How do you see the growth aspects of the industry in the next 3 quarters in Asia, and what are the transformations required to leverage the changing landscape?
I think first of all to say the present is still unpredictable with the COVID situation. Let's call it like that. We see that with the development what we have in Europe and maybe in some other Asia Pacific countries. So to predict what is happening in the next 3 quarters will be a bit difficult. In the midterm, I have a strong belief that looking on the Indian society and looking on the opportunities what we have, it's a very dynamic country. It's full of innovation. It's full of entrepreneurship. And also when we talk about the needs of the many people for affordable, functional, beautiful home, and also with the consumption in total, I have a very positive view on the future. Maybe not every retailer and every business will participate in that, because what I said before, what is needed, that first of all, you need to have the right business model. So you need to start from the people's need and dreams, and you need to start from the purpose to be a value-driven and to be a positive company in your business for the people, society, and the environment. That is very important. The second part is that you start with affordability and the value for money. I think that is very important, that we're really looking what is affordability for the many people. There has to be a purpose in your range dimension. We have built up a very unique range. So first of all, contributing what we said before to health and well-being, functional way of living at home, and other opportunities for health and well-being and staying safe. But the other part is also that your range has a meaning. So it has to be sustainable in the terms of certified raw materials. The way you're sourcing, the way you produce has to be in the positive way for people and environment. And the second part is also you need to build affordability, not on every price, but affordability in the range and the value for that, where we have a unique range. And the second part is the transformation of your model, of your business model, to not online or offline or transform from the one to other to an omni-channel approach. That means you can meet the brand. People are not choosing a brand, not choosing a channel, people are choosing a brand. So you need to be accessible wherever, whenever, however, for the many people. And then this transformation with the digital capabilities to an omni-channel approach, this is very, very important for the future. And the last point I would like also to mention, the way you're leading a company as a let's call it as a CEO, as a management team, the way you're working together, that has changed dramatically. So there's also something in the way of how do you work together? Is it needed that you're in an office or in a workplace to control? Or do we transform ourselves to a model of trust, value-based way of working, where we all challenge as leaders and CEOs, and we also, the resilience, what we have been learning, the adaptability, the trust what we give to teams and people, I think that is something which has been very, very curious and very, very exciting in the way forward.
Okay, so when you talked about that, the growth prospects are there, and in the retail segment, and the other things you talked about in the opportunities, that there are a lot of opportunities which will lead to a lot of growth, as well as the changing landscape. When all these things are there in terms of opportunity as well as in terms of growth, what are the job prospect would this growth and opportunity create for the kind of industry you're into in terms of retail segment?
I think in general, in that industry where we are in retailing and also in the home furnishing sector, I think there are two dimensions where we have huge opportunities. The one is, I think what I said before, the interest for home furnishing and the need for home furnishing is still on a lower level in India. But with that growing society, also with the growing need for that, I think there's a positive outlook on that. That will create a lot of job opportunities. However, the job opportunities will also sit in the transformation of the model. So what I said before, the omni-channel approach, the passion and the need for home furnishing, but also the digital capabilities requires a lot of self-driven also upskilling by yourself. And also from a company perspective, that we are skilling people. We have been very good examples. Have we been inviting even vulnerable women from vulnerable families, bring them in, skilling them for retail, upskilling them, because we believe everybody has a talent and everybody brings a talent. So the belief in people, the upskilling one needs to be both ends. So from a perspective of a colleague, of the people, but also from a company perspective. In the retail dimension, I see a lot of opportunities. The second dimension is in the manufacturing sector when it comes to home furnishing. I think there's a huge opportunity for India in the future to be a hub for manufacturing. for the world, also exporting for the world. Anyhow, that requires a lot of work and commitment with the stakeholders together in the future. So that means we need from a raw material availability, certified raw materials, we need the competence and availability of manufacturing. We need handshakes with the government in that part, and we need an openness in the economy, that we're not getting closed and we're not taking the step of being of a protectionism in the country. So we stay always in competition also with the world and with the global supply chain. So from that perspective, I see in the home furnishing retail and in the home furnishing manufacturing, in design, I see a fantastic future. Also from employment perspective, alone ourselves, we believe in 15 to 20,000 only in the retail sector, which IKEA can create for the future. And they have not covered the manufacturing sector, which will be some 100,000 more.
So you talked about 15 to 20,000 kind of an employment generation, which can be possible in the home furnishing segment, and then that's a
for IKEA. That is our long-term plan for IKEA.
That's a long-term plan for IKEA, but that's also giving a lot of things, because direct employment also creates a lot of indirect opportunities for many people, and that's really bullish from your side, because if that is the kind of plan for IKEA, I'm sure other retail segment would have similar plans, and they are going to create similar things for the industry as well as for the society as a whole. Now, we talked a lot about the opportunity, we talked about growth, and we talked about job prospects. And Peter, you've been kind enough to share your perspective on this. Would like to know more about you as in person. Peter, there are a lot of people who are watching this particular show and would like to know from you that how do we ensure that our desire to grow remains untouched even in the toughest circumstances? We have seen what kind of circumstances it has been in the last 9 to 12 months across the world, and wherein we have seen loss of lives, loss of jobs, so many things which has been negative. But even in this kind of a circumstance, how do you ensure that we can look at the positive side which is going to come in the future?
I think you need for yourself, and also matching with the profession what you're doing, you need to have a clear vision and purpose driven, and you have be strong grounded in values. So that is something what you're never allowed to leave. When we said to be very people oriented in the way you're looking, you have an optimistic view on people, on society, on the planet. If you have the feeling that you can contribute, but also you have a responsibility in a positive contribution for the people, society, and for the environment and the planet, I think this you need to stay grounded. I think also the second one is you need to you learn a lot about your personal resilience, the way you're leading. A lot of trust is needed. I think with the colleagues, with a value-driven purpose, with a value-driven way of working, with a flat hierarchy, and having trust and building trust with your colleagues and with your leaders, and have a strong motivation with them around that. And I think something what is very deep in our DNA, we believe in the entrepreneurship of the many. So we are not talking about, I would say that from my perspective, I don't want to be the chief idea killer. In principle, I would like to be the chief idea enabler. So we talk about entrepreneurship, ideas, development of a purpose, and a company developing themselves forward is starting from the many people with the many talents. So this is something what you need to reflect. Is not the decision from top down, but it's decision and development of the country from the many fantastic people we have around that. And the third part I would like to say also where we're standing up is when we talk about diversity, we would like to empower people. We have women. We have 50% today already on all levels and all functions or hierarchies. We have women in our management team from the country. 6 of them are female and only 5 are male. And we believe a lot in the empowerment of women in all space where we are, because this diversity and inclusion, I think, brings a lot more dynamic and a lot more perspectives, and also future caring for the company and for the purpose of a company. Yeah, I learned a lot. I think we all learned a lot as leaders, but I feel strongly grounded in the IKEA vision and the purpose, and I have a very positive outlook on India as a society, as a market, and a very positive outlook and as a brand in the home furnishing sector for the future. And I would like to give that, transform that also so to many who are listening, very optimistic and positive for India.
Okay. So Peter, you talked around two different things. One is having an entrepreneurship mindset, wherein it is not only about decision making of a CEO, but it is about a collective decision making, so that we all can enable and we all can perform up to our potential. The second thing you talked about was diversity, the adding of women employees in the workforce. And as you talked about, IKEA already has 50% of women employees in the workforce, and that's a great message to the world that today women can do a lot of stuff when they are the part of the main workforce for the organizations, and in not only limiting to the retail segment but other segments as well. I think the message is very loud and clear from your side. Peter, thank you so much. It has been great interacting with you, Peter. Thank you for your heart and mind talks in Vyapta Global Growth Series.
Thanks a lot for having the opportunity, Pankaj.